Well, I had returned home twice at this point and was finally able to go outside and put on my boots. Yes, the one that the teenager says looks like Piccolo's boots. And I'm like, who is Piccolo? But anyway, he was spot on. And as usual nowadays, we've had overcast skies with some rain, little sun, but today it was very humid and extremely hot. But I was outside determined to do a few projects that would bring me a little joy and that would take only a little time and help me accomplish the mission of cozying up the back. Once again, we are delaying the staining of the benches project because of these conditions. I'm waiting for either a sunnier day or perhaps this is just a weekend project. So, to my surprise, everything is looking a little worn, weathered, and feasted upon. And that was quite disappointing. I felt like things still needed to be watered, even though they were drying out, if that makes sense. So I watered the things that were in pots that appeared to need some water. Yet the ground does appear a little waterlogged and still moist. So I'm looking around at the project I'm going to take on today. And for some of these, I just need some new pots. I need a couple pair of new pots. And over here, as we wait on the blooms for the phlox, I'm noticing that we've had some more growth over here with the creeping Jenny. So while I was removing the bags of debris from the work I did over the weekend, as it was trash day, I noticed that the ivy was breaking through the fence. So my mind immediately knew that I wanted to cut those pieces because they're quite fluffy. I was hoping they had more roots on them, but they were trailing at just the angle I needed to put them in a place. And if you've been watching these videos, you probably can guess where these ended up. So I went back inside of the fence and began to lay out my pieces. I want the mirror image of the other pot on this side. It's taken forever for those little pieces of ivy to grow and fill in and take over like I was hoping they would. So I'm helping things out a little bit by just planting it. I have the ivy, why not use it? Unfortunately, I wish I had planted these a little closer to that block or this stone, and I'm not 100% sure why I did not. I still feel like it will need to fill in and grow a little fluffier. And it's possible I may go back out and push it closer to the stone so that it hugs it a little bit more like the opposite one does. So here I am patting down and putting that ivy underneath the soil and supplementing with that extra soil I have acquired via my failed winter sowing. So it's looking quite cute though, we must admit. So what I'm doing is romanticizing and beautifying the little points that I can. So over here with this light bright New Look Dusty Miller, I have been thinking about underplanting it with something. And this is one spot where the Ajuga just did not work. I was not liking that combination. And either Ivy or Creeping Jenny is going to go underneath this Dusty Miller. So if you can guess which one I chose. Well, this is too bigger than a pause than I was intending. But anyway, you guessed it. the creeping Jenny. So as I was clearing out from around my salvia and trying to prevent it from being choked out by this creeping Jenny, I decided to pull up as much as I could and put it underneath the Dusty Miller. Not only does this area needs something else, it definitely needs the color. I believe the texture is welcome. And with the open space that I've been weed eating lately, it just needed something else there. And once again, this creeping Jenny never fails. It's free, it's bountiful. I have it. So why not improve this space by adding it underneath? I do believe that I may go around and give it like a little haircut and make a little skirt and maybe add some more so that it can fill in and be a little neater. So here I am twisting and turning and completing two tasks in one. Again, removing some of that creeping Jenny from the other plantings so they have a chance at growing a little better and faster and getting the sunlight that they need, and also moving it to a new space to serve a new purpose. So I'm working, patting, pulling, digging, twisting, and pulling up that creeping Jenny again. And it's something about when I do this, it's so much that sometimes I wish I could just take the handful as it is and stick it in the ground. Oh, but no, I always pull up some grass or weeds with it, and I have to meticulously pull it apart and just lay it flat so that it will grow in a more intentional direction rather than me just plopping it down as it appears. So I always have to make sure that it's growing in the right direction and that it has at least 2 to 3 inches inside of the soil. That seems to work. Sometimes in pots, this does not survive that well. I'm finding my most success when transplanting it, when I'm transplanting it back into the ground. So these are additional pieces that actually end up in other parts of the border of the raised tree bed. But I tried to complete creating a circle. But off camera, I think I stopped and I have a few more spaces to fill in. I just got tired of that. Just got bored with it. So I started pulling a few pieces of Juga to add to a few more planters. And we see that I added another piece into this planter and put some soil around it. This planter is a little tricky being that it drains pretty fast. And I'm not sure if I need to water it more often or since it's so shallow as far as the soil goes that maybe I just need to fertilize a little bit more. So this is a piece of ajuga that I stuck in the other day and it's looking crispy and needed a little water. So here I am with these dusty pots that I brought from inside. And I did eventually clean it out a little bit more. But since there is no drainage, and because this is not an edible herb or anything, I put down some small broken branches along with some very, very spent and old Spanish moss to create some drainage in this pot. And then I was able to use some of my soil that I'm repurposing and I put it on top, patted it down really well. And this is where I will park this wire vine. I did end up needing to cut some of the roots off to make it fit inside of this pot, and I'm okay with that. Again, this is a piece that I dug up from the raised tree bed and thought had died maybe twice. and it just keeps coming back to my surprise. So what I'm doing is putting it in this pot to grow it so that I can use it in future plantings instead of rebuying it. So also just to give a little decorative feel to this newly emptied table, I've decided to complete this project as well while removing the very tacky green plastic container. So I pat that down and pampered it a little bit. It is on the opposite side of this table. Again, I'm the only one that's back here. Nobody ever really sees anything back here, but I will have a prettier pot. And while I was at it, I took some of that pooled creeping Jenny and added it to one of my favorite planters. Again, no drainage, but it's doing well. The ivy was already a little sick when I started using it. I'm still going to look at ways to doctor on that. So, if you've stuck around this long, I hope that you like this video and that you will hit the like button for me. Subscribe to my channel. And if you are on Instagram, look for me at Madame Savad Garden and give me a follow there. That is it for now. And we won't put any pressure on myself to stain those benches. The goal was to stain it and show it in the next episode. But if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Just stick around as I complete projects one by one. Until the next time, bye-bye.